This is a first generation Forester, 98 to 2000, and there's not a whole lot of aftermarket radiators for these things. So we are going to install a Mishimoto radiator. It is for the 2004 Forester Turbo. The difference between the Forester Turbo and the regular non-turbo Forester is the Turbo has this expansion tank chilling right here, and there's a little hose that goes from the radiator to the expansion tank right here to release the bubbles so that it has a very nice functioning system. And as you can see here, we don't have that. So what we do is we plug off with a little hose clamp and a little vacuum line or cap, and then it comes with two little guys right here. We're going to use the nip. We're going to screw it in right here. The Forester XT, you would probably put the little cap instead of there. And also, we are not going to use this radiator cap. This radiator cap is too high of a pressure. It's 19 pounds, and that's not going to work for us. The factory one is what is it, 108 kilopascal. I think it's about 16 or 15 or 14 psi, something like that. I'd have to look it up because it's all in Japanese and crap. But yeah, you want to use the factory pressure cap for it to function properly. If you use too high of a pressure cap, the system will not reach operating, when it reaches operating temperature, will not be able to push this spring and bypass the bubbles into the expansion tank, and then so you never get the system fully bled. Okay, the radiator cap function, there's a little seal here and one up here. This is the main seal, keeps it from spraying all over the place, and the inner seal's right here. And when it reaches operating temperature, it'll open up this area to let the coolant expand into the tank, their overflow tank, and then when it cools down, it opens up the suction valve to pull the coolant back in, so it bleeds every time you shut the car off and let it cool down a full cycle. Okay, so let's get this going. Okay, I got a hose, and I'm going to attach it down here like that to the drain, and the drain's going to pour into this right here to the bucket. Hopefully. We're gonna do that right now. Okay, it's coming out. Just gotta wait for it to drain. This radiator, we're not exactly sure how old it is, but don't want to take the chance. We bought the car used, so it could be a replacement, or it could be a factory replacement, or it could be the original. I'm not sure. It's not leaking. It's not showing any signs of leaking, but I don't want to take the chance, be like 4 hours away or 300, 400 miles away from home and have it blow up. We want it to be, and we also want to upgrade the cooling capacity. Okay, so step one is draining. Step two, we're going to take the hose is off, and both disconnect the fans. Got another fan down here. Disconnect. It's got a little clip. Lift the clip and tug on the connector. It comes right off. Loosened up the lower hose. It still has coolant in it, so we're gonna let it drain out more. So hold on. Take the radiator out. Out. Let's see if the new one is going to work. Same size. It's a little taller. These are in the right spot. Right here, both sides. And looks like the fan mounting is in the right spot too. So looks like we're good. It's kind of nasty. We're gonna clean that. Cool. Fits. But run into a little problem here. These tabs are a little bit lower. And these are a little off. So we're gonna come up with something for that. See that? So I think I'm gonna make little extension tabs or something for that. Yeah. Or I can space these up, bolt those in. That's going to be loose down here. I'm going to come up with something. Okay, so the radiator height is about ½ an inch taller than the stock one. So the piece that goes down here, it's two of them, for the bottom, is about ½ an inch. It's right here. So what we do is I'm not going to run this, but instead I'm going to run this little rubber spacer. This is actually a drain plug washer from a GM vehicle. So if you get a couple of these, you're set. Fits over here, and it uses up 1/2 inch less space. So that takes care of that. So the radiator will sink down further in there without any problem. The other issue we run into is the fan sitting lower than the mounting holes. See? So the solution is to get some strap material, this, and we're going to run a bolt and a nut on one side and just another bolt on the other. This is a metric bolt. You're going to have to buy these separately because the regular Forester doesn't have these style bolts. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and cut some slices and move forward from there. Okay, made some brackets. They look like this. And decided just to use one mounting point. I was thinking about running something up here to here because we can't run a tab here because it's going to hit the aluminum and eventually gouge a hole into the radiator, and you don't want that to happen. It's actually pretty solid right now. It's not too bad. It's got 2 tabs on the bottom here and one up here being held in, so I think we'll be okay. But in the future I'm gonna run an extra tab across here for extra security, but for now this is gonna work because we got to get this thing on the road. So let's try putting this in the car now. Okay, so it sits in there pretty good. Let's see. These have to go in. See, this has a spacer like this, but with the spacer it won't fit. It's going to be too high. It's too much of a gap. So we're going to run it without it. Actually, maybe we can clear the hood. Let's see. Nah. It's a hole right here. Yeah, so we're just gonna run it without it. And this is ghetto, I know, but we just cut up some foam that came in the packing, put this on like this, and bolt it down. Because we have to go tonight. This has to be on the road tonight. There we go. It's gonna hold it in just fine for now, but what I want to do is get some rubber right here, a piece of rubber, so that we don't damage the top of the radiator. Because if we just bolt it in like this, it's gonna move around when you're driving, and it's gonna wear a hole into the radiator. So I'm gonna get a piece of rubber to make it fit nicely over here. Alright, this guy over here came up with a good solution. Found a old piece of hose and we cut it up, drilled a hole in the middle, and there it goes. Fits perfectly. It's not super ghetto. So that's our solution. The radiator is fitting in here so far pretty good. And oh yeah, we actually have to put this on. Forgot about that. So I'm gonna go ahead and mount it and hook up the hoses. Alright, so now it's installed. Use the cheat code for the upper part. It's basically just a radiator hose. It's looking good. We put this little cap on here, keep it from, that's the cap that goes to the expansion tank, so we're not using that. Upper radiator hose seems to fit fine. It's a little slight kink right there, just a little bit, that's fine. You can see it's just fine. And we got the fans hooked up, and there's plenty of clearance. I'd say inch and a half everywhere. And the lower hose fits with no kink, which is good. And you know, everything is nice and secure. Fans are pretty good. So we're going to start filling it up with some coolant. I'm using the pink coolant. It's long life. Lasts about 4 or 5 years. This thing is probably about 2.5, 3 times larger capacity than the stock radiator. Overheating. Okay, and we're going to use the stock radiator cap. This fits. We're going to fill it up all the way and bleed the system out. And once it's fully bled out, we're going to drive it around and see how it is, but I don't see any problems. So this is what I use to bleed. I break off this return check valve all the way off the cap. That way that the coolant will float freely back and forth to the reservoir. Then I run the motor until I feel the heat from the lower radiator hose. That means the thermostat's on. And then wait for the fan to kick on. And, you know, that's how I do it. But this is the factory radiator cap. This is definitely what you want to use, okay? Don't use the one that comes with the kit, otherwise it won't bleed out properly. This one has a softer spring. That's what it's designed to use. If you use a stiffer spring, you're going to cause more stress on your heater core, your hoses, and anything that's older in the cooling system. Alright, so we have success. I wanted to show you the difference between the stock radiator size too. Stock size is about, let's see, it's about 1/2 inch thick. And then we're going to go compare it to the size of this one. Look at that. This is stock. That's less than half. Let's measure the width. So that's about 2.75 inches. So it's almost 3 times larger capacity. That's pretty nice. So now we have successfully swapped in a Forester XT Turbo 2004 radiator into a 2000 first gen Forester. So it can be done. Just need a little extra tweaks like these pieces right here, and this little cheat mod right here, and on the bottom we have the little washers, but this would probably be a good idea on the bottom as well. Okay guys, we have great success in my country. Great success, yeah, Brianna? Great success. So if you got a Forester and this helped you out, say something, please. And if you want to buy the radiator, hit up my friend from iRace Autosport. And here's the part number again. Okay, iRaceAutosport.com. Talk to Matt or Mats and ask him for a radiator, and tell him Justin sent you, or Subtle Driver. All right, he'll give you a little better pricing. Peace out.